Hello everyone, this is the module of Phonetics and Phonology prepared and presented by Dr. Osama Mahbub to the first year bachelor students specialized in English. The module is delivered in 3 hours a week. Introduction. Speaking and listening to speech comes so naturally. Have you ever consciously thought about what processes are involved in this? This is exactly what phonetics aims to do. It aims to give a systematic, conscious consideration of how speech sounds are made, what they sound like, and how they compare with each other. There are many reasons for why we have to study phonetics. Among them we can mention: Number 1, to have the capacity to detect the right meaning of the words through the correct pronunciation. And number 2, to be able to understand the speech of other speakers and to be understood as well. Number 3, to improve our English pronunciation through producing an accurate set of English words. This can be done through the use of the IPA symbols, i.e. International Phonetic Alphabet. Number 1, consonants. On the way out, the air flow can be more or less obstructed, producing a consonant, or is simply modified, giving a vowel. If you pronounce the first sound of the word paper, you close your mouth completely, and that is the utmost obstruction. Whereas if you pronounce the first sound of the word after the mouth is more open than normal, the air flows as freely as it possibly can. Consonants are often classified by being given a so-called VPM label. VPM stands for voicing, place, and manner. Voicing. The larynx is in the neck, at a point commonly called Adam's apple. It is like a box inside which are the vocal folds, two thick flaps of muscle. In a normal position, the vocal folds are apart and we say that the glottis is open. When the edges of the vocal folds touch each other, air passing through the glottis will usually cause vibration. This opening and closing is operated regularly and gives what is called voicing. Places of articulation. Bilabial sounds are produced when the lips are brought together. Examples are p, which is voiceless, as in pay, or b and m, which are voiced, as in bay and may. Labiodental sounds are made when the lower lip is raised towards the upper front teeth. Examples are f, as in safe, and v, as in save. Dental sounds are produced by touching the upper front teeth with the tip of the tongue. Examples are th as in oath and th as in cloth. Alveolar sounds are made by raising the tip of the tongue towards the ridge that is right behind the upper front teeth, called the alveolar ridge. Palato-alveolar sounds are made by raising the blade of the tongue towards the part of the palate just behind the alveolar ridge. Palatal sounds are very similar to palato-alveolar ones. They are just produced further back towards the velum. Velar sounds are made by raising the back of the tongue towards the soft palate, called the velum. Glottal sounds are produced when the air passes through the glottis as it is narrowed. H is in high, is an example. Manners of articulation. The manner of articulation has to do with the kind of obstruction the air meets on its way out, after it has passed the vocal folds. Plosives are sounds in which there is a complete closure in the mouth, so that the air is blocked for a fraction of a second and then released with a small burst of sound called a plosion. Fricatives have a closure which is not quite complete. This means that the air is not blocked at any point, and therefore there is no plosion. On the other hand, the obstruction is big enough for the air to make a noise when it passes through it, because the friction. Affricates are a combination of a plosive and a fricative. They begin like a plosive with a complete closure, but instead of a plosion, they have a very slow release, moving backwards to a place where friction can be heard. Nasals resemble plosives, except that there is a complete closure in the mouth, but as the velum is lowered, the air can escape through the nasal cavity. Laterals are sounds where the air escapes around the sides of the tongue. There is only one lateral in English, L, a voiced alveolar lateral. Approximants are sounds where the tongue only approaches the roof of the mouth, so that there is not enough obstruction to create any friction. Vowels. We shall first have a closer look at the way in which vowels differ from consonants. Then we shall analyze vowels phonetically, i.e., according to tongue position, how high in the mouth is the tongue, and which part of the tongue is the highest. Length, are the vowels long or short? Rounding, are the lips rounded or not? Nasality, is there free passage of air through the nose? Diphthongs, are they steady or do they somehow change in character? Difference from consonants. Even though all the languages of the world contain both vowels and consonants, and although almost everybody has some idea of whether a given sound is a vowel or a consonant in his language, there is actually more than one way to distinguish between the two classes of sounds. From a phonetic point of view, one way of distinguishing is by considering which sounds have the highest degree of obstruction. Tongue position. Tongue position is described using two criteria: the height, how high is the tongue, and the part of the tongue involved in the production of the sound. In English, the tongue may either be high, intermediate, or low. The part of the tongue involved in the production of a vowel can also be illustrated with the examples above. Conclusion. Understandable pronunciation is an essential component of communicative competence. With this in mind, teachers should set obtainable goals that are applicable and suitable for the communication needs of learners. Pronunciation instruction has to aim at intelligible pronunciation, and teachers can actively encourage their learners' actual production. Build pronunciation awareness and practice. Pronunciation instruction is very important because it is the main source of understanding. If learners cannot utter the correct version of a word, then they are not able to communicate correctly. For more details about the content of this module, please consult the following references. Thank you very much for your kind attention.